Hey, I want to let you know about the awesome promo that RacerX is running right now. Really good one. I'm excited about it. Subscribe and renew today. You get a free pair of RacerX undies. And they're by Ethica. It's a $56 value just for $30. Men's, women's, youth sizes available. I have a pair on the way for myself, which I'm excited about. So that's cool, but there's more to it than that. Man, there's some really good features in this August issue of RacerX. You've got All Things In Badly, really kind of an inside look of what's going on with Eli Tomac and leaving one team in Monster Energy Kawasaki and going to what we believe is the Yamaha team. You got another story. Davey Coombs went out and did an adventure ride, an adventure tour with Jeff Stanton, and he talks about it. So Pure Michigan Adventure. Ryan Villapoto's brand new old school vibe, 9-time AMA Motocross Supercross champ Ryan Villapoto hit up RacerX and just really did a cool feature on that. So get some fresh undies. Your lady will probably thank you for that, and RacerX will really appreciate you supporting them. They're the reason that we're able to do this podcast. They're the reason you hear from guys like Weege and Steve, and those guys put a lot of hard work into these stories, and man, I still look forward every month to getting my paper edition magazine that I can hold in my hand and read. But if you're somebody you're like, man, you know what, I'm on my phone all the time, I want it on my phone, you can get that as well. You can get the latest issue right on your cell phone. So be sure to go to racerxonline.com/moto marketing, and you can sign up. It'll give me a little bit of credit, so I look like I'm doing something and pulling my weight in amongst the company of Kiefer and Steve and Weege. So I'd appreciate it. The Michelin name is synonymous with quality around the world, yet many who appreciate the performance of numerous Michelin products are unaware that the company's first tire product was a bicycle tire in 1891, when the Michelin brothers patented the first detachable bicycle bead tire. To this day, Michelin continues to innovate and produce world-class products for road bicycles, mountain bikes, and specifically designed products for e-mountain bikes, like the Michelin E-Wild tire. It's the tire of choice for my team, the Impact Results EMTB team that's competing in the 2021 EMTB GNCC National Championship. This partnership will enable the team and its riders to showcase the performance, versatility, and durability of the Michelin E-Wild tires during our efforts to defend and pursue even more championships. Also for 2021, Michelin is introducing many exciting new products like the Michelin Force AM2 tire and the Michelin Wild AM2 tire designed for a variety of mountain bike terrains, as well as, this one I'm excited about, the Michelin Pilot SX and the Michelin Pilot SX slick tire specifically for world-class level BMX racers like myself. Follow at Michelin Bicycle on Instagram or learn more about their extensive range of bicycle products by checking out their website or obviously engaging with them on social. Again, it's at Michelin Bicycle on Instagram. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. I want to talk about our friends at Just Live CBD. Support for RacerX and this podcast is brought to you by Just Live CBD. They're a trusted source for high-quality wellness CBD products created by athletes just for you. Fun fact, Travis Pastrana, ever heard of him? He may or may not know a few things about being injured, recovery, dealing with nagging pains, nagging injuries. Well, Travis is actually one of the founders of Just Live CBD, so that's pretty neat. Travis and everybody at Just Live CBD want to hook you guys up. You can get 30% off your entire order with code RACERX at checkout. Visit justlive.com. That's JUSTLIVE, justlive.com, and use code RACERX so you get 30% off your entire order.
Welcome to the Moto Marketing Podcast, presented by RacerX, the podcast for moto industry professionals, entrepreneurs, and riders. If you want to grow your brand and business in today's digital-first world, you have to know how to turn a stranger into a fan, turn a like into a customer. You have to know how to turn attention into dollars. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you in the know on real marketing tactics that work in the moto world so that you grow your business and help grow the sport. Get ready to learn from the very same marketing experts trusted by Racer X, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, GNCC, and NBC Sports. They'll help you navigate the world of digital marketing for your moto brand. This is the Moto Marketing Podcast. Presented by Racer X.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast. My name is Luke Nestler. We got a good episode for you today. We got a great episode for you today. We have in-studio guest number 3, which I'm excited about. Before we get started, wanted to give a shout out to a couple of the folks that support us. Number one, Michelin. Really appreciate them working with me on the e-bike team that we've put together for the GNCC series. If you haven't checked out any of the GNCC events, we actually have a GNCC athlete with us today. If you haven't checked out any of the GNCC events, I encourage you to do so. I mean, you've got ATVs, you've got dirt bikes, and now you've got e-bikes. Michelin has been a huge supporter of our e-bike team. Check out a wide variety of their tires, whether you have a bicycle, motorcycle, a truck. I think they even make semi-truck tires. They make them for motorhomes. Randy Richardson and the crew over there make a great product. Be sure to check them out. Also, Impact Results, my company, we are hiring account executives. You can apply on our website, thinkimpact.com. Account executives, we're looking for folks to bring in new business and work with the brands that you know and love, brands like FMF, brands like Seven. So if that's something you'd be interested in, you can go to the website, find more information there, and we'd love to have you as part of our team. All right, today we've got somebody that it's funny how it happened. I watch this guy's vlogs and enjoy the content that he produces. I went up to him after the High Point or the Mason-Dixon GNCC and just kind of gave him kudos on his vlogs, and he said, "Hey, I listen to your podcast." So I thought, why don't we get him on the show? We've got Jesse Ansley, XC2, 2020, XC2 you moved up in 2020, correct? Yeah, so correct. 2020, 2021, XC2 athlete for Trail Jesters, and man, I appreciate you being in the studio with us today.
Yeah, it's a surreal feeling, honestly. Like I told you earlier, it's I listen to the podcast in my van, like when I'm traveling and everything, and to hear your voice in the microphone and the headphones and stuff, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is weird. Yeah, I was on a podcast a few years ago of a gentleman that I listened to a bunch of his episodes, and when I was on it, it's definitely a weird feeling. I'm stoked that we're starting to get more consistent guests in here. You're the first professional athlete we've had in, and man, we can talk about a lot of things today, but really what I thought would be cool about this is I've been a lifelong moto fan my entire life, but when I say moto, I grew up watching Supercross, Motocross. We've worked with GNCC, helping them promote their events for several years, but man, I didn't start going to these races until midway through 2019, full-time in 2020, full-time in 2021. So a lot of the names in the sport, I'm still learning, and they aren't as iconic to me as other folks. So I don't know that many XC2 names, and what I think is cool about you is when I think XC2, you're the name that I think of, and I know you're still up and coming, and you've had some struggles this season. Your results aren't where you want them, but I think what's cool is what you're doing on YouTube is making you more appealing, and you're reaching people more so. I have no idea who's winning. Let's just get right to the point. No idea, nor do I care who's getting first, second, or third. I don't know their names. Legitimately, I have no clue. I know who you are because your videos, and I think that is something that is important for people to hear and understand. That's what I want to talk to you about today. I don't know if you did that by accident because you wanted to bring more value to your sponsors or what the story was, but that's the reason you're in studio today, is because I know who you are. You're not winning yet. You're struggling. You're going to get there, but you're making more outreach and impressions than the guys that are winning. So tell me about where the video concept came from, because you're one of the first guys that really start doing it consistently.
Yeah, so actually it's all on purpose. Like everything I do has a meaning, and I try to take my time and use it wisely, whether good or bad. But yeah, I mean, I've been into video ever since I was like 13, 14 years old, and I'm 20. So I've had quite good experiences with YouTube and just like making iPhone edits for all the pros when I was a kid. So,
You're only 20 years old?
Only 20, yeah. Which
Damn
is
it.
crazy because I feel old.
I feel old, man. I'm 31. Like, I'm looking at Josh. Josh, how old are you? 24. Josh is 24. Our producer, we need to get Josh a microphone. Our producer is 24. So you're 20. I don't know. I'm thinking, like, I knew you were younger than me, but in my mind, like, your maturity level, I mean, you're traveling around the country with your girlfriend, like you're an adult, right? That's crazy, man. You've done a lot at 20 years old. So everything you do, there's reason behind it. So did you see an opportunity with, a lot of the motocross, supercross guys doing vlogs? Did you see that as an opportunity that was kind of untapped in GNCC?
A little bit. Like, to be honest, I wasn't really following the huge vlog scene on the moto. But, I mean, now I do, obviously, just to kind of keep up with the times and just to kind of get ideas. And I try not to, like, rip people's ideas off, obviously. Like, no one wants to do that because you want to be original. So I watch them and, that's a cool idea. Well, let me put my twist on it or whatever. So I have some good ideas here in the future. But, yeah, I mean, back to the video thing, like, just like you said earlier, when you don't even know who's winning XC2. You don't know who's getting second, third, whatever. And that's kind of like, it's crazy because motocross, you have these people that, like Dean Wilson or whatever, like, he cannot win a main event or whatever, but he has probably one of the most strong followings.
For sure.
And, like, he just gave away a dirt bike to this kid, and YouTube, he's making revenue from YouTube and merch and all that stuff. So he's making a really good living. And so, like, I kind of like to have a plan B, and obviously, like, I'm a racer at heart and an athlete at heart, so I want to do the best I possibly can, and I want to win races and championships, and but I have to also see if it doesn't go that way, right. I still want to make it in this sport. I want to be one of the bigger names, and I mean, I kind of started off winning pretty much everything I possibly could to really, like, when I would get second, I'd be pissed, honestly. So to kind of, I was, XC3 champion in 2018, 2019, and then 2020 struggled a lot, and kind of struggling this year. I've had some pretty crazy mishaps, like just stupid luck at the races lately, but I feel like I'm riding better, and honestly, like, 2022 is going to be a really good year for me for sure.
Yeah.
Just because you have to have that base and you have to, like, grow. I mean, the stuff I'm doing now is going to show in 2 months, so. Right. Kind of late to the 8 ball, but, like, I'm so young. I'm, like, one of the youngest guys in XC2, which is crazy to think. So
how does that work with, I know in Supercross, Motocross, there's move-up points. I mean, you can have a guy that's pushing 30 years old and still in the lights class. With XC2, even though it's not the same as the lights class, it's a similar concept. How does it work as far as, like, what's the average or normal age when somebody gets in, and normally when do they get forced to move up? Is there an age-out rule? How does that work for you guys?
Well, it's kind of a touchy subject, especially for someone like me that's trying to, like, get a good base and get good results. And, like, obviously, I mean, I'm the athlete, I'm the rider, so I have to do the best I can.
Sure. And
it's all on me to do it. But, they've tried to put these rules in where if you're over 24, you have to move up to XC1, or if you get top 10, you have to move up to XC1. Well, all that stuff, they put them in the rules, and then, someone gets top 10 that doesn't want to move up, and the next thing you know, that rule's erased, and then someone's 25 and doesn't want to move up. Well, that rule's erased.
Yeah. So it's kind of a moving target for you right now. You're not really sure kind of when you're going to time out. So regardless, if it's the age rule, if it's 24, I mean, you're 20 right now. So that's why you're saying you have time to kind of grow those. You're still getting your feet wet. You don't feel necessarily rushed, but
not really. But obviously, like, you don't perform, you're going to get dropped.
Yeah, it's racing.
So,
yeah, no doubt. But it's one of those things to where, I mean, your results aren't terrible, and the issues you've had are kind of, and I know this just from watching your videos. You've had some sickness stuff happen, some crashes, things like that. It's not like it's not like you're slow. So, have you had conversations with your team, or have they acknowledged really what you're doing with your videos to where, or is it still new to where they haven't seen it catch on to where if your results are decent, but your exposure is more than, I don't know any of the other trail jester athletes, but I know who you are because your videos, and there's value in that, right? And it's not, I'm new to the whole GNCC thing, so I'm sure a lot of people know all the guys on your team, but there's a lot of people that probably don't, but they know who you are because your videos. Do you have any idea if your team is acknowledged, hey, what you're doing is really cool, or any of your other sponsors or anything like that?
Yeah, Ross, the owner of Trail Dressers, really digs the videos, and he knows I'm not dumb. Like, he knows I'm doing it for a purpose, and obviously, like, when I first started it, everyone said it's going to distract me and stuff. So I think at first it did a little bit, just the late night grind, editing videos, planning out stuff. But now I have such a routine that it's like it doesn't waste any time for me. But I've got some cool opportunities here in the future, like with Moose, and it's kind of so new that no one really knows. Like, I only have like 1,600 subscribers, but I mean, I get like 4,000, 5,000 views a video, which is really good, I think. And
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, with Moose, like, they came to me like, hey, if you do these products, we'll give you stuff, like, more than just gear. Because I'm pretty much, like, I'm good on product. I'm good on bikes, and, I'm all set on that. Like, luckily, my skill kind of does that for me, but I'm kind of trying to broaden my horizons where I don't know, I think of, like, obviously this is so unrealistic, but it kind of really isn't. Like, Ryan Dungey with Target, and, like, just these crazy out-of-the-box, like, companies that motocross guys are working with, and there's nothing like that in GNCC.
No.
And so, like, if I can go to a company, like, just outside the moto industry, like, hey, I have so many followers. Like, look at Deegan's, 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Like, that's insane. Yeah. And there's people lining up at their feet, wanting them to pay them money, so they can put their logo or say something about it.
Right.
Like, look at Monster, like Haley Deegan. You can't watch a video without her saying Monster 20 times, but she's getting, like, I don't knock it. You know, it kind of gets annoying, but it's like, she's getting paid so good to say that, but she has a following.
She's got her own channel, and I think it's been kind of interesting to watch what she's doing, to where I assume she's still racing, but her own channel is more like just her having fun with her friends, because I think they know that they're some of the smartest people in the sport. What she's like, I watched a video of her today to where they put Hummer wheels on a Segway, and then they drove it around town and went through drive-thrus trying to get reactions. And it's like, has nothing to do with her being a NASCAR athlete, but I think they know her audience. And there were little kids that stopped there on the street to get photos. And I think that the sponsors see the value that, she's a driver, she's a professional athlete, but this is the type of content that sponsors like. And it's driving a result for those sponsors, so she's getting a bunch of money because of that, so they're playing into that more so than showing her, like, daily grind in NASCAR. I think with GNCC, like, it's an East Coast sport, right? It's so, I mean, you don't hear Pulp MX talk about it much, it's nobody past, like, Ohio really understands it, or Indiana really understands it, so I think the more people doing what you're doing is cool and is good for the sport, because it opens people's eyes to what this form of racing is. And this form of racing appeals to a different audience than Supercross and Motocross. You know what I mean? So more, outdoor hunting, fishing, side-by-sides, camping, things like that. Like, one of our sponsors on our team is an insurance company because they want to insure RVs. So that might be something that you can capitalize on, to where, like, Alex Martin and his Troll Train vlogs, not really going to appeal to that audience as much as the people that are at GNCCs. What are some of your goals with what you're doing video wise? Like, are you just to grow your YouTube channel, or start a podcast, or grow your Instagram? Have you really thought, or are you just kind of pumping stuff out and what happens?
Well, like I said, I have like a meaning for everything.
Sure.
But like, as far as my goals, I just want to be the best athlete and the best person I can be. And like, at the end of the day, I'm a professional athlete, which is super awesome, but to me, I feel like I just want to show the world that we're all just normal people. And I used to be like the 10-year-old kid that just would stand 30 feet away and just like shiver, so nervous about talking to these guys.
Yeah.
And like, now pretty much just go hang out with Charlie Mullins whenever I want. And like, I was so nervous to talk to him as a kid, and like, that's kind of what want to show on my videos. Like if I'm around, just come, fist bump me or whatever. Like I always have some cool swag to give away. Not so much like jerseys and goggles and stuff, but I try to take care of everyone, and like, I don't know, it's cool. I have such a good opportunity and to kind of show and like grow the sport and just kind of like make the sport a better, like a community.
Yeah.
And I think that all kind of starts with back home down in FTR, like the series I started with. It's such a family organization. You just never forget where you come from. And it kind of hits home to me. Like, I don't know, there was a couple years there where I wasn't allowed to go race them, just like politics and stuff, just outside FTR, and it kind of like broke my heart. So like, I don't know, going back there this year, like I ran 1 or 2 races, and just seeing the family and stuff like really motivated me to like kind of bring not so much everyone together, because everyone's like a huge family at GNCC, but I kind of want like a lot more people to be personable.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see like these guys, which I don't understand. These guys, like, they go race a dirt bike and they win and they get off the podium. These kids are like so happy and they just ride right by them.
Yeah.
And like for me, it's crazy to think like I almost get heartbroken for them.
Sure.
So like, if there's a 2-hour line for autographs, I'll stay there and sign them. Like it does not matter.
Well, and your sponsors want that too. Like that blows my mind when. And I've seen it in cycling and in moto to where they don't want to give the fans the time, and it's like, man, you're being paid to sell a brand and product, and if
that's our customers.
Yeah,
right there.
If you ignore the kid, like that kid might have gone and bought a Bell helmet because that's what you wear, and I've seen that happen before to where they just ignore them, and look, I think I don't want to say everybody's dream, but like my dream growing up, man, it would have been the coolest thing in the world to be good enough at any sport to be a pro and like sign autographs. And like the only thing I've ever done in my entire life that I get some type of that, oh, that must be kind of how it is, but on a really small scale, is this show. I have people come up to me at the race and just want to talk about the show. And I can tell sometimes they almost feel like, hey, I don't want to bother you. And I'm like, man, I am stoked you know who the hell I am. Like, so it blows my mind, too, when I see people like that. That is cool in GNCC. I'm sure there's still some of it to where they ignore it. But, you guys are so easily accessible compared to other sports and even Supercross and Motocross. You can't get to those athletes. You guys are riding around. I mean, Stu Baylor, who's arguably at the top of the sport right now, like I see him out riding around every day. So like anybody can go talk to him. Anybody can go talk to you. And I think that's cool. But beyond that, like that's just on a Saturday, Sunday. You don't see or hear from those guys Monday through Friday. But with what you're doing with your channel and whatnot and on your Instagram, people can, have access to you. When you and your girlfriend walked in, I said hi to her and I was like, I feel like I know you because of your stuff. Like that goes a long way. I have no idea who some of the other athletes are because I might see them at the race, but that's it. With what you're doing, it's a 7-day-a-week type of an impression that you're making as opposed to others that aren't. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and keep our conversation going with Jesse Ansley, XC2 Pro in the GNCC series. We'll be right back. Fly Racing's 2021 line has been improved and expanded, offering the industry's widest range of moto and off-road products. Led by the revolutionary Formula helmet featuring Rheon technology, Fly Racing has taken big steps forward with the all-new Light Pant and Zone Pro goggle. It's going to debut this year at the Monster Energy Supercross by Justin Brayton and the Muck-Off Honda team. The Zone Pro goggle delivers premium performance from a brand you know and trust, fearless pursuit, Fly Racing. It's personally the gear that I wear. I've worn it moto, BMX, mountain bike. I've worn it and repped it for years. In my opinion, it's the best. Be sure to check out their goggle, their helmet, and all their gear. Fly Racing. Hey, big shout out to our friends at FMF. Little D and the guys are always doing some pretty exciting things, not just with the performance products, but man, they've got the coolest apparel in the game, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to get that at a little bit of a discount. If you go to FMF and pick up any gear you'd like, hats, shirts, whatever it is, upon checkout, if you enter the code MMP30, MMP30, you can get 30% off. So MMP30 at checkout and get 30% off your order on FMF Apparel. All right, welcome back. Again, we're here with Jesse Ansley, XC2 Pro GNCC racer. Before I forget, so your YouTube channel, is it just Jesse Ansley? How can people find your videos?
Yeah, that's it. Jesse Ansley. Instagram, Jesse Ansley _. I'm really fortunate. It's like pretty easy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely check it out. I mean, I've noticed this year more people are starting to try and document in the GNCC series, and a lot of amateurs are doing it too. I mean, we do it with our video series for our e-bike team, and the sponsors really appreciate it. So it's cool to see other people showing the GNCC series as well. Man, I just want to, again, like GNCC is a sport that a lot of the people that listen to this, they're not from the areas that series comes to. So, you know, and again, like I said on Pulp, it doesn't get brought up as much because Pulp is all across the country and GNCC is really more of an East Coast. So talk to me about that a little bit. So you're from Florida. You started racing in Florida. What was that like when you went from like pan flat Florida to like you raced snowshoe for the first time? Like, were you like, holy shit, this is what a hill looks like? Or what's that like as a young, not now because you're adapted to it, but as a young kid for the first time going and competing on a national level? What was that like?
It was pretty wild. It's pretty undescribable.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was 12 years old when I first ran the whole series. But yeah, we would hit the GNCC that was in Florida every year, and I would do really well. And then 2012, we figured hit the whole series. I was just on 65s, and yeah, it was pretty wild. But luckily, like I was so gung-ho about racing dirt bikes, and I mean, I still am, obviously, but nothing mattered at that point. Like all I wanted to do was win and ride my hardest, and I would get up every single morning and run 3 miles. Like, I'm not kidding you, every single morning. And I won like 10 races that year or whatever, and I won my first national championship. And obviously winning, it was so fun.
Yeah.
And some of the tracks were my favorite. Obviously, I struggled pretty hard, but yeah, I mean, luckily at that age, I think the sport's obviously evolved a lot, and the mini class is stacked now. Like, it's crazy to see how fast those kids are going, but yeah, I mean, that was kind of how I started with GNCC, and then really the rest is history. Like, I have a lot of championships and stuff, and I don't know, I don't really like to think about it or, you know, bring it up. I'm just focused so hard on the future that I honestly could care less about my championships or my race wins or anything like that. Like, honestly, I remember my worst races more than my better races.
Yeah.
Like last weekend I won the National Enduro, had a really good race, and then after the race we were flying home, and gave the trophy to my mechanic. Like, I don't really care about the trophies and stuff. Like I said earlier, I just want to kind of make a good impact, and I'm an athlete, so it's pretty cool, like, not having to get a real job, and which I've had, and it sucks, like getting up early and long days trying to get your training in. But that's kind of like my whole thought process is like, if I can, you know, grow this huge fan base, or not huge, but like a fan base,
sure,
and like, you know, start selling merchandise and start, you know, getting my brand, like my name out there, it'll make life a lot easier on me in the future, you know, when there's more opportunities. And I feel like I'm almost a yes man.
Sure.
So I do not pass up opportunities very often. So
that's awesome. I mean, dude, that's what I can respect that just from a business standpoint. Like, there are a lot of people that only want to take the opportunities that they think behoove them, and man, you gotta say yes to pretty much everything, and things will start to fall in place. So I think that's cool where your mindset's at too, to where, I mean, obviously, again, I tell people this a lot. I think business is really similar to sports, to where the people that are successful in business think of it the same way an athlete does their sport. And, you know, I mean, we've had a lot of success here, but I think more about the failures and stuff, and it almost, in a sense, scares me and keeps me from getting complacent. If you sat there and were like, dude, I've won all these championships, you're probably going to get comfortable, and you're not going to still be hungry to do more. So I think one of these days, when it's all said and done and you're retired, you'll look back and you'll appreciate what you've done. But now, you know, the people that are successful, now's not the time for that. So talk to me about your team. Your team is one of the coolest I think branding-wise, one of the coolest teams in the pits. Like, I don't know where the Trail Gestures name came from, but the logo, everything about it, to me, just catches my attention. And now, they have people on their team like you that get the branding and the marketing side of things. How long have you been with your current team?
So my first year with them was 2019.
Okay.
I was on a KTM satellite team coming out of mini bikes, so 16, 17, 18. And met Ross, and he only has New England riders riding for him, and I just met Ross, and we just hit it off, and I was kind of looking to switch things up. Obviously, I still wanted to stay on KTM, but the team I was riding for was kind of more out west, and I needed to be on more of like an East Coast team. But yeah, it kind of all just worked out with Auntie, the KTM team manager, and Ross, and obviously like the team sponsors make us who we are. Like the bikes are sick looking, and the gear, like Moose has us hooked up pretty good.
Yeah.
And like now I'm kind of starting to build a personal relationship with Moose this year, so that's working out for me. But yeah, it's cool. I think we have we have another XC2 rider, an amateur rider, and then a women rider. But yeah, we have they have their own kind of YouTube videos as well, like the race recap that Kyle Wolf does, and my buddy Ian Howes does some of the Instagram edits and stuff. And yeah, Ross is pretty good on media. He kind of knows like if we get media out there, more people recognize us. And yeah, it's just like you said earlier, it's like a business.
Right.
You have to, like, we're athletes and we want to win, but we also have to kind of play hardball with some people, like it's just a business, like you said. So
yeah, no doubt. So I mean, I think any athlete that travels around racing motorcycles or bicycles or whatever it is, I mean, they've got a pretty cool life. But when you came in, I was talking to Taylor, and she was saying that you're from Florida, she's from North Carolina. You guys just travel around, right? And race. How did the two of you get connected? I mean, she's on the road with you as well. Not to dive into your personal life, but I think it's cool. Like, it's, you and your girlfriend are both into it. Like, my wife, love her to death. She does not come from a cycling or moto background. Like, I met her when I kind of had stepped away from the sport for a few years to grow this business. So for her, it's like, she thinks it's cool, but she's not like a raging fan of the sport. And she's always at the races with you. Like, you guys have this cool life together. Did you guys meet at the races? Like, how did this happen?
Well, I joke all the time. I say that she saw how many Instagram followers I had, and just,
Yeah, right.
Nah, I'm just kidding. No, we were just, I don't know, just one night, this happened, just, DM, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like so easy.
That's
like,
how it works these days.
It's just like social media.
Was she a Moto fan as well? Or was it now she just has to be?
I guess, yeah, she has to be, honestly.
Yeah.
I guess she came to a couple races or whatever. Her dad's business guy or something. I'm not sure, but I probably should know that, honestly. But
that's all right. We're gonna get you in all kinds of trouble now.
No, it's all good. But yeah, I mean, she started coming to the races, and she's getting a lot more comfortable handing me water bottles, and she kind of knows what to do. Like, I don't really have to babysit anymore. So
what's it like being on the road? I mean, like, you guys, what brought that up was she had said you guys haven't been home since the beginning of the season. So does it get, I mean, so you see your family at the races, right?
I see my grandparents. I don't really ever see my mom and dad. But
Okay.
I mean, I have a good relationship with my mom and dad.
Yeah, you're just on the road.
Yeah.
So does that help at least seeing your grandparents? Do you get homesick, or are you so focused and kind of your life is just, you're pretty much like a gypsy. You guys just travel all over the place.
Yeah, that's Mac Faint. He's the gypsy. But no, I think, like, since I was 17 years old, I was kind of on my own, like just living out of our motorhome.
Yeah.
And I was staying at a family's, like at their house, but in the motorhome. And honestly, like being alone and just kind of going, I was doing landscape at the time, trying to race. And
man,
I was
that's
like,
a hard. You were doing which is the most back-breaking job in the world.
Yeah.
Trying to fit training in on top of that, so your body was probably never recovered.
Yeah, no, I do whatever it takes to make it. Honestly, I've worked construction, landscape. I got an offer actually a couple days ago to once a week do some framing and stuff, and like, why not?
Yeah.
What if I want to build a house one day? I know how to do it.
Yeah,
So,
no doubt.
I got so homesick when I was there, just because I was by myself, basically, just going to work, coming home, training, whatever. And I think it's like, I got so homesick, and then when I saw them, I realized like, yeah, it's all good. So now I don't really get homesick. Like, I think it took that one time to get really homesick, and I think my results kind of petered a little bit. And then once I kind of got out of that slump, I was like, I'm good, you know, and luckily I can like pay my own bills, and, you know, I negotiate kind of where I stay, and I have some really cool opportunities like with Gear and Charlie and John Ayers, and like they give me such a good like platform to kind of go here or go there or whatever. So I don't mind life on the road. It's pretty fun, and I mean, Florida is cool, but anymore it's like a vacation spot for me.
That's awesome, man. One of the first things that I was watching your videos, and what caught my attention was so you show your experience through the whole weekend, and you started showing the e-bike races, and I was like, I was blown away by that. I was like, why? He's like, he's into it. He's a fan of the whole e-bike thing more so. That's how you guys preview the track for those that don't know GNCC. Like all the amateur and pro athletes, you guys cycle the track to kind of, because you can't pre-ride it on your machines. So, but now they started racing them, and not only, I mean, you show like the start line, like you make a part of your series of your videos the e-bike race, and I think that's rad. And then you raced the Loretta's round last year, the EMTB round at Loretta's. Talk to me about the whole e-bike thing, as far as just, it's a tool for you as an athlete to look at the course, but it's fun, and you're kind of into it as well. Talk to me about that. Yeah,
so during the weekend of the GNCCs, I feel like when the e-bikes are going on, that's like our first fresh of breath air.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like really relaxing, and obviously I'm like really close with Charlie, and he's dominating the series, or he's gotten defeated this year, which is pretty crazy. But it's good for the sport. Yeah. And like, you know, we're good friends with Nick Mackey, and anyone that races the e-bikes, everyone's kind of like all together. But yeah, I mean, I just started showing it because it's so unique and different, and I did race 2 of them, the 2 Loretta's rounds, just because we don't have a race the next day.
Right.
And it's definitely a lot tougher than people think. My
Dude,
gosh,
coming from a pro athlete here, it is much harder than people think.
Yeah, it is. I didn't really like. We use them to train a little bit, but we're typically on normal bicycles for the most part. And I raced, and my first ever race, I actually ended up getting 3rd in the pro class, which is pretty. I was shocked. And then the next year was muddy, so I just kind of lucked into 3rd. But yeah, it's definitely a lot. It's a lot tougher than people think, but yeah, it's cool what GNCC has done, like just to try to grow the sport, like for, you know, the e-bikes, because it's a completely different racing than XC.
Yeah.
And it's completely different racing than dirt bikes, so it's like a whole new sport, and it's cool that Specialized, you know, is on board as like a title sponsor for GNCC, and they've helped me out for a couple of years, and then now it's kind of transitioned to Gear Bicycles is helping me out. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, those bikes are so expensive, and I'm like so grateful that I get mine supplied to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a game changer, and honestly, like, you're at such a disadvantage if you don't have one anymore.
Yeah, no doubt. I can't imagine the old days of you guys cycling the full length of those courses on a regular bike. I would be absolutely blown out and exhausted before the race even gets there. Well, man, it's been awesome having you in. As we kind of wrap things up, what are your hopes and kind of your goals as far as just continuing to learn this whole personal branding thing and growing the channel? Like, what are your aspirations for that?
Yeah, I obviously just want to stay true to myself and put out content that I think that people want to watch, but I also want to put out content that I like. As cringy as it is, like, I go back and watch some of my old videos from, like, you know, 2014 or whatever, and it's like, dang, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's like a memory thing. And yeah, I mean, for goals, like, I don't, you know, obviously the numbers and stuff are cool, like the views are cool and the Instagram followers are cool, and like, it's kind of hard not to get wrapped up in it. But at the end of the day, like, if 10 people watch the videos, I shouldn't care, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if 100,000 people watch the videos, like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I just want to have fun with it, and to kind of show kind of some behind the scenes, and just kind of show people that, like, just normal humans. And
yeah, no doubt.
That's kind of my goals. I don't really have any, like, money goals or anything like that. I just want to kind of make the sport, you know, better for everyone, and see where it takes me.
Yeah, man, it's cool what you're doing, and I said it out there and when I introduced you to some of my team that I think you and I had the same kind of aha moment at High Point when I went up and introduced myself to you, because I was going up to say, hey, I like your videos, and then you saw me and you're like, hey, I like your podcast, and we both had that moment like, shit, people actually listen to my thing or watch my thing. So it's cool, man. I mean, you're making an impression. I'm sure there's a lot of kids that watch your videos that maybe haven't had a chance to meet you, or have, but they're intimidated. Like you said, you were, but I think, and you know this, just know that, kids are seeing it and it's making an impression, and people get stuck on the number, like, there's 4,000 views, and sometimes people don't think that's that much, but it is. The fact that there's 4,000 or 5,000 people, that's a shitload of people. That's, dude, that's a majority of an audience at a GNCC. Like, that's a big chunk of the people that'll come to a GNCC weekend watching your videos, and it has to start somewhere. And you've been doing it, what, 2 years now? Or a year and a half?
No, just
this year?
Since the beginning of the season, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Because I remember the first video I watched, you're like, I'm going to commit to doing these. And you're already getting that. If you think back, or if you fast forward 5 years and you look back, you're probably going to 10x that. But you just got to stay consistent with it.
I would dabble and post a couple videos, and that would just kind of fall off.
Yep.
And then this year I was like, I'm going to do it. I have to do it. And
Yep.
I just stuck through the hard times, like the late nights, like 2, 3 a.m., just editing a video. And then now it's like, honestly, the simpler the better. People just want to see your stuff. So
Yep.
it's like, film with the iPhone, just
Yep.
put it on YouTube.
That's right. That's awesome, man. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming in. I'm looking forward to seeing you at more of the races.
Yeah, it's been an honor.
Yeah,
Thank
dude,
you.
it's cool watching you do your thing. So I appreciate it, and we'll hopefully have you in again sometime soon.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, man. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Moto Marketing Podcast. If your goal is to get real, measurable results from your marketing that will grow your company revenue, then check out how Impact Media can get the same results that they have for Moto's most iconic brands by visiting thinkimpact.com. That's THINKIMPAKT.com. Have a marketing question that you want answered on the show? Send your questions to questions@motomarketingpodcast.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast.